Thank you very much. Mr. Ross, there's been a lot of talk about outsourcing.
I'm sorry, sir?
Outsourcing of jobs.
Yes, sir.
And we need to continue talking about that. But the other side of that is insourcing. And I can just tell you that in my state of Mississippi, we're tickled to death to have Toyota, Nissan, Airbus, Yokohama Tire, building things for the rest of the world and employing Americans right there in Mississippi. Of course, our states have a lot to do with recruiting these industries, but can you highlight for us your ideas about how to have more of this as we try to combat outsourcing of American jobs to other countries? How can we insource companies like Nissan and Toyota and Airbus?
Sure. I think the best incentive for foreign companies to come here is, first of all, we're the world's largest markets, and so that's a big encouragement. But if we lowered the corporate tax rate, it'll be a further inducement for them to come. Right now, we're not competitive in terms of our marginal tax rate with many other countries against whom we compete. Take, for example, Mexico. The corporate tax rate there is about half what it is in our country, and that's true in many of the other countries. So I think if we can become more competitive in the tax rate, would be a very good thing, not only for keeping American companies staying here, but also for encouraging foreign companies to come here. So I think that's probably the biggest single tool that we could use.
Okay, that's the biggest single tool. You're free to give other suggestions.
Oh, surely. I think some degree of deregulation would also be very, very helpful. And if we can use an energy policy that keeps energy costs low, that would be very, very powerful as well. So I'm much more in favor of carrots than of sticks.
With regard to a 21st century tax structure that puts us more in line with the modern day and gets us out of 1986, are you involved in those discussions at the transition level, and will you be part of writing the administration's tax proposal?
I believe the President will be listening to some suggestions from me, but he has a whole apparatus on tax that's quite independent of me. But because tax is so important to commerce, I hope that he will have some consultation with me.
Well, I think based on your answer to the previous question, the President-elect would be well advised to listen to you. You've had a lot to say about infrastructure, and let me just tell you, I hope I'm able to assist the Trump administration in supporting an infrastructure program for the United States of America. Infrastructure includes roads, bridges, highways, rail. Do you consider the build-out of broadband to be part of infrastructure, and should it be part of the Trump administration's infrastructure plan?
I think broadband is an essential part. Broadband is to a very large degree a path to the future, and I think therefore it's a very essential component of economic policy altogether, including the infrastructure component.
All right, and you're going to look around the room here and see people from Nevada to Hawaii to Mississippi to Nebraska, and a lot of rural folks on this committee. I hope you will commit to this Congress and to this committee that you will work with us on making rural broadband more accessible and make the build-out more expeditious.
I certainly will try to cooperate with you. As you know, that it's the intersection of myriad policy decisions, some of which are quite outside my control.
You're probably aware of this, and my time has expired, but you've been around the track. There is a second level of bureaucracy in your department. There's a third level of bureaucracy. You're going to have to fight those people. And sometimes you're going to have to make sure that they understand that elections have consequences. I want to do a shout out to your predecessor, Secretary Pritzker, who helped Senator Cochran and me and the governor of our state and the people in Mississippi who wanted to save lives through an innovative way to put doctors in emergency vehicles. And it took quite an effort on the part of Secretary Pritzker to cut through that bureaucracy and make sure the law was followed. I hope you can show that kind of determination too, and we can work on a bipartisan basis with people, with my Democratic friends and people on our side of the aisle too, to cut through some of this red tape and do things like Secretary Pritzker did in helping save lives for Americans in Mississippi.
Certainly in favor of saving lives, and I'm clearly certainly in favor of enforcing the law. So I look forward to working with you on it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Wicker.